I'm Dr. Aisha Sherzai. I'm a neurologist and the co-director of the Brain Health and Alzheimer's Prevention Program at Loma Linda University Health. And I'm so excited to be here and to be one of the speakers in this incredible summit. So it's such a privilege and honor to be here with you all. So I wanted to speak about brain health and the importance of lifestyle and its profound impact on brain health, and what we all can do as a society to prevent devastating diseases of the brain, which are considered to be one of the scariest things ever. And it is costing a lot of lives, and it's one of the most expensive diseases in our society. But unlike what was known in the past, there's so much we can do to prevent it and to promote better brain health. And so the purpose of this conversation is to touch on some of the research that shows the profound impact of lifestyle on brain health. To that end, I do have a set of slides that I would like to share with you all so that it could guide us in this conversation. So the conversation is about the profound effect of lifestyle on brain health and prevention of Alzheimer's disease. Now let's talk about this amazing organ, our brain. It is only 3 pounds, and when you hold it, when we used to hold it, during dissection, it's very squishy and jello-like. It's about 2 pounds, 1.3 kilograms, 2% of our body's weight, and it can consume up to 25% of our body's energy. It's just so high energy consuming, and it's always on, and it's on even while we sleep, especially while we sleep. It does most of its work during the deeper stages of sleep, which we'll talk about later. And there are 87 billion neurons, but more importantly, each of these neurons can make as little as 1 or 2 connections or as many as 30,000 connections. And these connections are in our control, and we continue to make these connections till very late in life. And that is the key to living a brain healthy life. We'll touch on that later. So any brain can make as many as 1 quadrillion connections at a time. As far as brain health and longevity is concerned, there are no shortages of examples. I just chose 2 of my favorite people here. Jane Goodall, as you may all know, and she's amazing, and she's doing such tremendous work in her 80s. And then Dr. Ellsworth Wareham, who was a cardiothoracic surgeon in Loma Linda, where I trained and I work. He was a surgeon, and he did open to close surgeries well into his 90s, and he retired, I believe at the age of 95, just to travel and kind of take it easy and live life. But even in his 90s, he was very sharp, he was very active. He never let the residents or the fellows, he trained them, but he wouldn't let other individuals participate in the surgery. He would do it himself. And that's just a testament of how controlled he was with his movements, with his cognition. And he led a very healthy life. So he's a very good example of someone living in the blue zone, which is Loma Linda, thriving well into his 90s. And he died at the age of 105, I believe, after a very short period of illness. And he was just a wonderful human being. But that's an example of people living a healthy life and living a very long, active lives while they're thriving. Now, when it comes to brain aging and brain health in general, there's an assumption that as we grow older, our brain function starts to wane off. If you focus on the red line, it connotes that as people age, they tend to have lower cognitive function, and then they go into the realms of MCI or mild cognitive impairment, which is a pre-dementia state, and then it's dementia. But that's not the case with everyone. Yes, maybe processing information would get slower as we age, but a lot of people tend to increase their vocabulary, they increase their information, their visual spatial aspects of their cognition, their ability to put thoughts together and come up with ideas as they age. And so there are populations that continuously increase their cognitive capacity. And even if the processing is slower, the general IQ and knowledge continues to grow as they age. And that is called successful cognitive aging. And there are multiple examples of populations living in this world with successful cognitive aging. And even despite having the pathologies of, say, for example, some neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, they don't really manifest it. They don't show it because of all the cognitive reserve and the resilience that they have built during their life. So we'll talk about what that essentially means and how people can build it. But just to say that it is under our control. Now, before we talk about the hope and the positive aspects of lifestyle and its impact, I think it's important for us to talk about the dementia or the disease part of it as well. Now, the dementia epidemic is quite profound. Currently, 6.2 million people are living with dementia. And dementia is the umbrella terminology, and Alzheimer's disease is the main type of dementia. There are other types of dementia as well, such as frontotemporal lobe dementia or Lewy body dementia or vascular dementia, and some other, more rare forms of dementias. But the majority, about 60 to 70% of all dementias are Alzheimer's disease. And that's why the term dementia and Alzheimer's are sometimes used as synonyms. So there are 6.2 million people living with dementia. Every 64 seconds, someone is diagnosed with dementia. And this is an underrepresentation, believe it or not, because in a lot of communities, memory problems and dementia are considered just a part of normal aging, and they're never reported. Currently, it's the 5th leading cause of mortality in the United States, but it's the #1 reason for mortality in the UK and in Japan. And it is thought that it would soon become #3 or #2 in the United States because there are treatments for other diseases, but for Alzheimer's disease and dementias, there's no treatment. So it is an overwhelming disease, and this doesn't even show how overwhelmed the caregivers and families are, and the fact that there's no treatment for it. It is just a devastating disease to deal with, and I've seen more of it than I wish to. Moving forward, as far as the statistics are